back and with Revived and Restored. And I have Valencia and Kim back in here, our gathering group of ladies that get together on a regular basis. And our hope and our vision is to, see communities restored, and where we're building community and seeing, the revival of things and the restoration within our families and in our communities. So glad to be here, and we're coming to the season of Christmas, and it's like, oh, so much going on, but we're still kind of digging deep. We don't want to move forward into the new year with a new chapter until we kind of after the first of the year, but we're going to stay with kind of talking through about the imposters that we still kind of live in, and maybe that we need to maybe learn to embrace a little bit more, and not to shy away from it or fear it, but to kind of embrace it. And then maybe that's when things begin to open up for us, where we need more healing, and for the Lord to show us, kind of what are we holding on to, and what do we need to let go of, and what do we need to bring to the altar, right, of the Lord for grace and mercy. So we're going to start talking a little bit about that. And did one of y'all want to read your imposter letter? Were we going to do that?
I can read mine.
Yeah, that'd be great. And for those who haven't been hearing what we're doing, we're doing a book called Waking Up Gray. It's a creative awakening. And it's such a powerful study, Bible study, an encounter with Jesus study. Yeah. It's just so powerful. And I recommend anyone to get it, but do it in a group in a group setting, because that's where it's the most impactful. And we all need, God created us to be in relationship and in community. And so that's where we will see the most growth for each of us, when we're in community and willing to be vulnerable and face things together.
Because it's hard to do it by yourself.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. And so anyway, so one of the things in the chapter 4 that we've been in is you write a letter to your imposter yourself, right? And it's not in the way where we think it as a full negative. It's more of like revealing things of how
what was present. That imposter doing in your life?
Yeah.
So I wrote a thank you letter.
Okay, awesome.
And my first one, I said, my dear imposter, because it was one that I think I put up when I was a little girl. Yeah. This one, I just said, imposter. Your strong foundations and thick walls have done a wonderful job protecting my heart from words meant to wound and destroy me. My childish dream of a marriage to a kind, gentle, encouraging husband, think Prince Charming, was shattered soon after our wedding day, and I needed your comfort and safety. But the walls are keeping me captive and stunting my growth. I've learned that the love and protection from God is greater than the walls that you built, imposter. We can take them down now. It's okay to open my heart to my husband again, all the way. I can let the wellspring of love pour out from this place that Jesus loves me. It will wash away the areas of bruising or wounding and that I may sense. I'm walking in the promise of Isaiah 54:17. No weapon formed against me will prosper or succeed, and you will condemn every tongue words spoken against me. Those words won't hurt me. I love you, Kim.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So since the time that I wrote that, I've seen a change in my relationship with my husband, which is really amazing.
Wow.
I think...
And you're really brave for putting that out there,
yes,
by the way.
Are.
You're super brave, just so you know.
Oh, okay. But it's life.
It is.
It's life, you know. I think he probably sensed the walls and was trying to tear them down from the outside. And it wasn't something that could happen unless I dealt with it on the inside.
Yeah.
And it definitely was important early in our marriage because I was learning who I was, and I needed to not have that tearing down that would happen. But he's a very hurt person, and anytime something would hurt him, I was a safe person to absorb his hurt,
Mm.
but I couldn't really take it either. So I had to lean into the Lord more. And we also were married at a time when the total submission of a wife
Mm.
was
Yeah.
taught. And so I can remember going through breaking and heartbrokenness. But that was a good thing because it opened me up more to the Lord, I know. But we've been married a long time.
How long have you been married?
It'll be 48 years next
Wow,
month.
that's awesome.
Maybe
Yeah.
49. No, it'll be 49 next month.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow, that's impressive.
That's really great.
It's hard to believe. It's like my mind doesn't register that time frame.
Mm-hmm.
But what I've noticed is Jim has been able to connect into relationships of his own, which is strengthening him. And he has been so soft and gentle to me. So,
I love that.
I mean, it's
That's
like
so good.
there's no need for the walls at all. And he's really, the Lord's just changing his heart
Mm-hmm.
because I couldn't do it. You know, I tried for a long time. It doesn't work.
I think sometimes, a lot of even the way that we respond to each other and in community and with other people too, if we have walls up, people and I think spiritually speaking, even those who are not believers versus or who are believers, you pick up on things and you don't even know why sometimes,
Mhm.
but you
True.
just know.
Mhm.
And so then it could cause another person to put up their walls or trying to figure it out or,
Mhm.
or they're, on the defense or they,
Mhm.
so it's like there's just stuff that happens because we're not really in tune to really who we are or
Mhm.
whose we are, right? In our relationships even.
Mhm.
And so I think that's something that kind of I realized over years too when God was bringing me through a lot of healing that I was expecting to be hurt.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was like,
Well, I
okay.
wasn't expecting, but
Not consciously,
yeah.
but in my subconscious, because of my past experiences,
Mhm.
I still had that belief system that's what's going to happen.
Mhm.
And I wasn't even aware that I was doing it
Mhm.
until the Lord started bringing more to the light. I was
Mhm.
like, wow, I kind of played into that because I wasn't confident in
Mhm.
who he was
Mhm.
within me.
Mhm.
Right. So it's like, wow, it
Yeah.
was pretty amazing.
Yep.
Wow. That's really powerful. I love that. And it's so true when you shift and change out of something. I remember when I was going through a deliverance and stuff from a lot of things, but the lady that was walking with me, she goes, I'm telling you, when you come through this, your eyes are going to be, people are going to be able to see into your soul, into your eyes,
Mhm.
and they're going to know you're free,
Mhm.
and they won't understand it, but they'll just, there's the freedom. Like, I didn't get that. But right after I went through some major deliverance, some core stuff from ritual abuse, I ran into my neighbors, and they're like, wow, you look like younger or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like you shut off some of those. I think
Mm.
that you age,
Oh, yeah.
not gracefully when you have demonic
Yes,
activity going on
yes.
in your mind and your soul and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, they age you. So get rid of them and you
Yes.
get younger.
Yes.
So anyway,
Beauty secret,
yeah,
people.
Yeah.
it is so true because of his light and his love, and there's just a different radiance that happens. You
Mhm.
radiate his love and his joy, the Lord's, instead of the darkness from within that the
Mhm.
enemy's held you captive. So anyway, that's just so fascinating, and I love that because when you have that revelation or something comes in and you release it to him,
Mhm.
and I like to say even putting it at the altar, say, Lord, here it is.
Mhm.
I'm giving it to you. I'm laying it down instead of trying to, have my say, my control or whatever.
Right.
Mhm.
And it just brings so much more life all in the relationships all around you. Like it's just more like it's wild.
It trickles out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I don't know if we can kind of segue. I was trying to figure out the way about some of the things that and the belief systems we have, I've come to realize me holding on to something or my belief or my own protection
Mm-hmm.
is an idol.
Mm-hmm.
I've become
Well, we're putting it
yeah.
in place of the Lord. We're
Mhm.
trusting that instead of God
Yeah.
for what we need.
Yeah. Where do we
Yeah.
put our trust at? Yeah.
And I
Mhm.
think that's essentially what, for the most part, how a imposter kind of happens, right? Is that it's usually a coping mechanism of some kind that we've put
Mhm.
there instead of like the lordship of God coming into that space. And sometimes it's because when it happened, we didn't know him,
Yeah.
or or
Yeah.
whatever, or just that we live in a society that is all about self-reliance and
Yeah.
all of these things. And she talks about that in the book quite a bit, that that in itself is
Mhm.
like an idol, that it's
Yeah.
that's sin. We don't think about it as
Mhm.
being that way. Of course, there are things that we need to do to go through life and be responsible and all those things, but the big stuff, we're
Was
not going to get
co-laboring with the Lord.
right.
We're called to
Mhm.
co-labor with him, and he co-labors with us, and it's like not a it's not like we go and I'm nothing and I'm going to be this puppet
Mm-mm.
and God's going to
Right.
control everything. No, that's not what it is. It's where we are intentionally in relationship with him and we
Mhm.
commune with him, and
Mhm.
like kind of when in the beginning when God created the Garden of Eden, and he walked with them in the cool of the day. It talks about that.
Mm.
It's like we can enter into Jesus in our own life, commune with him. We walk, we talk with him, and we listen and hear, and we can share our triumphs, and then also our
Mhm.
sorrows, and
Mhm.
he's
Mhm.
there with us no matter
Yeah.
what through it. And like and he's wanting us to step out and take adventure, like be adventurous and creative and all those things.
Mhm.
And he's right there with us, and it's like it's amazing. So because I used to have a lot of judgments before knowing Jesus about people who were like, like, can't you think on your own? Can't you do anything on your own? Why do you have to go to God for everything, type of thing?
Oh, people that
Yeah.
seem to be too needy and too reliant.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was like, that was all, like, they didn't make a move. I'm going to go pray about that.
But there's
To
a
you. Like, I'm like, but I do, I'm like, I want to go pray about it. I'm going to do that. But in my sense, it was like,
it was a put down on them.
yeah, like,
Totally.
it just seemed like not in a relational way. It's
Yeah.
more in a controlled way. And
Which makes sense because of
Yeah.
what you had experienced in your
yes,
life,
Mhm.
right?
yes,
It makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Control, like that's why people need to you
Mhm.
need to be consulting someone, because
Yeah.
it's a control factor, not
Yeah.
that it's a partnership factor or a, you know
Yeah.
what I mean, co-laboring, like you said.
Yeah. And I used to have, I still have, and I've asked the Lord, you can change it anytime you want, Lord, but I don't like when saying God is in control. Because of the definition of control for me is not a good
Oh,
thing,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it was like, no, he's not. And I don't find that in the Bible, by the way. He's sovereign. And it's like, if he was in control, then why don't he take care of everything?
And why
Yeah.
did he give us free will?
Yeah.
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 And that's the thing I've kind of learned. We have a free will. We can make choices.
Mhm.
And he gave us that to
Mhm.
do that.
Mhm.
And not,
But how much better is life
Yeah.
when you submit your heart and your mind
Yeah.
to God's perfect way,
Yeah.
instead of trying to create everything
Mhm.
just a certain way.
Yeah.
He expands, he multiplies what we offer him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not out of controlling us.
Mm-mm.
It's out of that love relationship. And it's like,
Mhm.
because he knows so much more. Like, his ways are
Oh,
not our
yeah.
ways. His thoughts are not. They're so much higher, right? And
Well, there's so much we just don't know or
Mhm.
understand, right? And
Mhm.
it's kind of like, if you think about it, like from a parent-child perspective,
Mhm.
children think they're doing the right thing. They've got this idea they're going to do XYZ. They just don't know all the other factors or the end result of certain things. There are consequences and whatever, and they just don't understand that there's fallout for certain things. They don't understand those things because they don't have in their limited experience, they don't have that knowledge yet. And we're in that place consistently with him, right? And so that is a real good reason to co-labor with him instead of trying to go out on our own strength, because there's too many things we don't know. We just don't know. We don't understand. We don't see the bigger picture. We don't know what's going to happen, 5 years from now or 5 minutes from now. We just don't. So it's wise to seek his counsel.
And I think it's amazing how when I look back over the years from when I first came to know him and stuff, and still operating in a lot of areas that, were sin, still, I mean, outright sin, but because I didn't understand or know, I didn't have that full-blown relationship. I didn't know the word. So little about, but God was, but Jesus would show up for me in so many ways, in tangible ways, where I knew he was with me, and I didn't understand, and then he took me to scripture where he showed me, even though you do not know that it's sin, it's still sin. But it wasn't until years later that he showed me that, because he was building that trust with me, so that I trusted him to speak truth to me that would set me free.
Yeah.
And that goes with generational curses and sin and iniquity, to all those things over the years. Each thing where I think I was mature enough to handle it. Because I remember asking him, why didn't you tell me this before? And he's like, well,
your brain couldn't have held it. Your heart couldn't have held it.
That's right. I wasn't ready for it. And so that's where we give grace to other people, where we meet them where they're at and love them where they're at, and let Jesus, because until Jesus, like when we want to lay the law down on people and we take the word and say, this is what it says, this is what, well, if they don't have that relationship, that means nothing to them.
Yeah.
It means nothing to them. And that's not how, that's not how Jesus met me. So it's like how he's walked with me throughout the years. It wasn't him, he didn't speak some of the things that he speaks to me today back then, because I wasn't old enough or mature enough to handle it, like we said. And so how much more does it give us the ability to give grace to one another? Where are we at? Why are, certain questions, even with my husband, I would get what? You don't know that? And then it's oh, and then it would be a put down. It's no, I can't do that to, that's not the right. Jesus never talked to me like that. Why didn't you get that? Why don't you understand that? He didn't say that to me. It's why do I want to say that to others?
Yeah.
And it's just, we're all in a different journey, and it's bring them a little bit closer to Jesus. What is ask the Lord about that,
And that never stops.
No.
I mean, this week I've noticed we had the husband of a friend at church die. And having that loss, I mean, I can't imagine, but it showed me my lack of compassion. And it's okay, Lord, there's a spot in me that needs to be built that hasn't been there yet. And I've just never worried about compassion in the past. But it's a piece that's important for his nature to come out of us.
Yeah.
So.
And what is compassion? Really to dig. I remember asking the Lord one time, I need to understand your compassion, because I don't get it. I can have compassion for some, and some I don't. I notice I don't have. I'm why is that? What is it? What's your heart? What's your what is your heart for others, right? And that it's kind of like him saying why he holds out right now. Why hasn't he returned? It's he has compassion
for those that aren't yet his.
Yeah. And he's waiting out, because we're talking about eternity.
Yeah.
We're talking about eternity, and people who wouldn't have that place him, and it's that long. And that's why I think as he's long, because I don't, it goes in another whole thing, but he's waiting out for us. Therefore, because I always say well, if he knew and he knew that they're going to, why doesn't he just
make it happen?
Yeah. It's because he doesn't. It's just when Abraham was taking, the knife down on Isaac, at the altar.
Mhm.
And God said, now I know. And that he says that throughout the Old Testament. It says, now I know. And it's like, and you look it up in the Hebrew word, and it was exact time, like that moment.
Was God saying now?
Yeah,
I
God
know?
said that. Yeah,
Oh.
God did say that. So that's a whole nother conversation we go into,
Oh,
because I've done a
yeah.
lot of research into that. But because it would just blow me away. Well, it's like, if you know, then why even go through all this? Because he's not, and that's why was he waiting out for people who he would know whether they do or don't. It's
Wow.
because there's certain things about
Omniscience. Yeah.
omniscience, and anyway, there's just a whole lot of, he's sovereign, and he did create us all, and he created us all in every one of us. And I love where, not to be offended, by others. If you understand his heart, is that he created us, he knit us together, he saw us, we were in his heart before anything. And if we see each other as an image bearer, whether they know him or not, they still are. Every single
That's
person
true.
is. If we have more, and I think that's where he was showing me more compassion. If we understand that, that would give our heart's desire to see more people into the kingdom for eternity, like where they'll be in their rightful place.
Yes.
Which is with the Lord. And so
Mhm.
that's anyway, the whole thing, and that's like building community and being in getting to know people in and around you more so in a more deeper, intimate way, not just going and just saying hi, like, who are you? I don't know you. Do you don't know? Or they make, and we make
Yeah.
judgments or things just by people's looks, just by
Mm.
maybe their demeanor, but we don't know their story.
Mhm.
We don't. So it's like, let's like ask questions, So that's part of reviving and restoring our communities. Whatever our realm of influence is like, Lord, what is it that you're asking of me? And what are the questions you'd like me to ask? And can I see them with your eyes, with your heart, with your compassion, with all, like, what is this? And I mean, there's times the Lord's given me warning, saying, you need to walk away from that, and I've done that, but he's not doing it to, like, just pray, but just to I'll say, he's not doing it for me to make a judgment. He's just saying, this is not for you to be here at this moment.
Yes. Yeah.
So it just amazes me. The older I get, the more I learn about his heart. I mean, the more I realize I don't know a whole lot, and I need to know more. And it humbles me. And it's like taking it to the altar, like taking all of our, all of our thoughts, all of our even judgments, So, yeah. You have something else you wanted to?
Well, I was just thinking, when I was at the university studying and thinking that I was learning stuff, learning so much, and then I would walk into the basement of the library and look at the stacks of books of things that people had already worked on and discovered. And the Lord's just like that. We see a little bit and we think, oh, wow, and there's so much more. There's not just rooms, but mansions full of who he is, and universes full of who he is that we are going to get to know more about.
Yeah, it's fascinating. When you look at the, it just, I want to be on that, I call it the glory train,
Yes.
when you're going from glory to glory, and which we all are, like, whatever, as you learn more about the Lord, you learn more, you're in his word, you're building that relationship with him and with his people, because it is with all of us, that you grow and you experience more of his heart, you experience more of his glory.
And the growing with the unity with each other, the knowledge of the Lord, sharing that knowledge, and makes us more like him.
Yeah, you're like being able to share each other's experiences too. There's a wealth of understanding that's not like experiential, that you don't have to experience it, but you can learn from each other. Absolutely. I mean, I learn a ton from you ladies.
Yeah.
So I'm
I
grateful
learn
to
a
be
lot
in
from you
community.
too.
Yes.
Thanks.
From all, like I've just been in awe of the Lord, like with the diversity that's
Mhm.
there.
Mhm.
And identity, kind of that's, hey, I just finished my first chapter and it's done, and they just sent me things saying now it's going to it's been through some editing process and all that, but it's all ready to move forward, and they're going to start promoting it and getting the
Oh wow.
actual thing where they can start saying, hey,
Oh, wow.
this will be
is
coming out.
coming.
Yeah. So I'm
Ooh.
excited about that. But it's on identity as the first one. And when I did the word study on that,
Mhm.
it is the image bearer of Christ, like God.
Mm.
The identity has to do with that. And it talks about the diversity, but not in opposition to the Lord.
Mhm.
So it won't
Mm.
oppose his character.
Mm-mm.
When we have our full identity in him and are fully alive in who we really are, it will
Mhm.
never oppose his character or who he
Mm-mm.
is. It will not oppose righteousness. It will not oppose truth. It will not
Mm-mm.
oppose
Love.
love. It won't. And so it's like all of that to say is like when we're fully in that, you can see the diversity and love well.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're not made the same in the sense, but we are made the same in his image. So it's kind of like unpacking all of that is so much, right?
Yeah, it's a lot.
Because we're not clones.
Mhm.
We're very
a
unique.
facet. We're a
We're a
facet.
facet.
Oh, I
Yeah,
like
I love
that.
it. Look at the prisms and all
Mhm.
that beauty. Like, yeah. Thanks for listening, y'all. I know we got to go and keep carrying on, but it was great being here with y'all. And go out and look to see how you
Rejoice.
can, with joy, and see how you can bring Jesus to others.